Do it or ditch it time, where we take a look at an experience or an attraction that perhaps is worth doing or saying nope, giving up and moving on because it just isn't worth it anymore. Today we are focusing on Tomorrowland at Disneyland, and more specifically the Finding Nemo Submarine Voyage over there in Tomorrowland, right alongside that spectacular Matterhorn Mountain. Perhaps you've heard of it. And today we're focusing in on that because it is a hot topic I found in just asking around, and certainly something that as I passed by earlier this week, I got to thinking that maybe its days are numbered. And I don't know why I feel that way, but there just isn't a line for it anymore.
I think there is a line if it's super duper busy and people are desperate to ride something. I think that's, yeah.
I mean, I've always heard that ride is super expensive for them to maintain, obviously, because it's all 100% underwater. So I could understand that it's. I feel like for years we've been hearing kind of rumors of like, oh man, they would love to get rid of this because it's just so expensive, but
gobbles up the labor, and because it's so labor intensive with all the cast members that are needed just to run it, and you kind of get very little bang for your buck in terms of capacity because those subs are only so big, and try and shove everybody in side by side.
It's not like the one over in Epcot where it's just like continuous like Omnimover where you can get like tons of people in, But I mean, going underwater is really cool.
I mean, it has its novelty.
I mean, I personally think it is one of the cooler rides at Disneyland. Like in general, like I don't think very many people have ever seen anything like this. I mean, I think they have something similar to it, like at Legoland now.
Yeah.
Not on the same level, obviously, but it's just a ride where you really do feel. When I was a kid, I kind of didn't get it. I was like, wow, we're really going under the water. When I was a kid, I really thought we were diving under the water.
Sure.
And so it's kind of an incredible experience in that regard. But then you kind of alluded to it as well of like, but then you're like kind of packed in like a little sardine, and you kind of you're bumping shoulders with the person next to you, and maybe there's some smells in there that might not be so good. And so it can have moments of being like, oh gosh, I just need to get out of this submarine. So
yeah, it's humid and claustrophobic.
A little bit. And then it's like I feel like it's always my luck where I get people that either are talking the whole time, or I get the stinky people with like some Crocs that they should not be wearing ever again.
Yeah.
And then I'm like Tyler, I'm like, I really want this to be over. When's it over? And then you just kind of like, you can't wait to hear that music of, oh my gosh, now I just forgot it.
Somewhere.
Yeah, beyond the sea somewhere. So it's just like you're like waiting for that so you can like get out, you know? But when I was a kid, again, your space is different than as an adult. So for me, I loved it when I was a kid. Yeah. I thought I was diving underwater and I was like, this is so neat. This is so cool. And then as an adult now, I'm like a bigger person, and now I'm kind of like, oh, I think it should be like for like kids, or like, I don't know.
And these are the original submarines too. So these were built when Americans were smaller. Let's be so I mean,
before everybody was a churro loving guest.
Exactly. Before they made 10,000 flavors of churros.
And then the churro challenge.
But going back to the main question, it's so tough for me to decide if you should actually spend your time on this one because again, it's a theme park ride unlike any other. When I first saw it, I didn't understand how they even do some of the projections under the water and stuff like that. So it really is neat on a lot of levels. If you have that fear of claustrophobia or anything like that, maybe not for you. Yeah. I think if there's no line, I think you definitely owe it to yourself to get there. I don't know if I would wait in line for like 45 minutes or something.
No. Where's your cutoff? 15?
I think my cutoff. I think if somebody has never done it before and they're curious, I think a good cutoff would be like a 20-minute wait.
Yeah.
20 minutes is good. It's is a decent wait time, especially if it's like hot outside. I think 20 minutes like max, not minimum. Max.
Yeah, right, max.
Because it's just like too hot and everybody goes in there and then it's just kind of like.
I'll tell you the thing I never understood about this ride though is why is the voice of Dory not Ellen DeGeneres?
Oh.
That bothers me every time I ride that ride.
Is that so?
It's not her. It is not Ellen DeGeneres. Him up at night.
Wow.
And it's interesting to me too because they made that ride before Finding Dory, and every time you see Ellen talk about Nemo or Dory, or she's like, it's like the IP she wants everything to do with. I feel like So I guess she was too expensive, or she didn't want to do it. Or
Very interesting. I didn't realize that. Yeah, 2007 is when this attraction was sort of rebooted and brought back after so many years of just being an inactive standing body of water in Tomorrowland. Yeah. They brought this attraction back with the Nemo theme. We took a poll over on our Facebook page at the Kingdom Report and asked you, is Finding Nemo Submarine Voyage worth your Disneyland time? 80% said that they seldom ride or skip it entirely. 20% said I ride every visit. That, I think, at this point is one of the most polarized polls we've ever taken. Yeah. I have never seen something so far in basically the ditch it category. And why don't we jump out to Walt Disney World right now, and our Walt Disney World reporter Garrett Hassel is standing by. Garrett, have you been on the Nemo submarines, and is it a do it or ditch it for you?
I've been on Nemo before. I remember when it first came out, I was so excited because I loved the original submarine attraction, just because it had, like, to be able to go on a submarine, that's so cool, to be going underneath the ocean. I remember probably the most iconic scene in the original ride was when the sea monster attacked you, or when the squid attacked you and the ship starts, like, alarms going off. I remember that. But this new attraction, it's cute, but as I've gotten bigger, I enjoy it less and less because it's too tight for me. Like, if I get someone, like, if you get myself, Tyler, and Wade together, like, we're not having a good time. We're sitting on each other's lap at this point. And
I mean, don't you guys want to
I
cuddle?
just want to hug you. Yeah, I don't know what's.
I mean, what's so bad about that?
Yeah, and but the portholes have gotten so small that, like, it's hard. Like me, I'm like up close and personal looking into everything. So for me, it's a ditch it. It's a cool concept. I would have rather had it the Atlantis: The Lost Empire when they had hinted at that, because Atlantis: The Lost Empire is one of my favorite Disney films, even though it didn't get high reviews. So I wish it could have been that. But I think what needs to happen to this area is you can still use the area, but you just need to convert it into what Tokyo Disney Sea has, where you're in a submarine, but you're not actually in the water. They have, I don't know if any of you have ever been there, but you hop into your submarine vehicle, and then there's a layer of, there's windows, but inside the windows there's water, so it makes it look like you're underwater without actually going underwater.
That's neat.
And it emits bubbles and stuff, so as you're going along under this lost underwater city, there are bubbles there, so it makes you feel like you're actually underwater without having to have the budget of having billions of yes, thank you, bubbles everywhere, without having to have actual water. So for me, it's a ditch it. It's cramped. The best part is, however, if you go on it during the day, when you board the ship, that's really cool because you're going into a submarine. And then before you actually enter the deep ocean, where you're just going along the bay and you see Darla out there and all the other beautiful, like, coral reef aspects, that's cool. But then the rest of the ride is sort of hit and miss for me. So I gotta ditch it.
Yeah, they certainly do their best to try and keep the air flowing while you're in there. They have multiple events to make an attempt to keep it cool, at least, and keep that air cycling. And then at each porthole, there's also an air blast, really trying to keep it as non-claustrophobic as possible. I went on it this past week just because, again, I thought, I have this feeling that it's going away. I don't know why I keep feeling this, but I know it's prime real estate for development within Tomorrowland, and it could be a few years, but I feel like that attraction, those days are numbered.
That would be so devastating if they got rid of that water area, because it's just so beautiful, even like walking by.
Yeah,
it's just so gorgeous. And then when you're like going through like the monorail. Don't say that.
It is pretty spectacular as a site, but I mean, from a capacity standpoint, and what did you say?
Chapek.
Wow. Can't keep blaming him for everything. My goodness.
Chapek.
I'm like looking to Kurt to see if there's any fun sound effects.
I had some reverb on her, so she.
Can we get a poop sound here? It's like Chapek.
Goodness.
I mean, I have the horse neigh. That's the best I can get you for right
Run,
now.
horsey, run.
I mean, he is one of their behinds.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious. The hate in your heart towards that man is just off the chain. Wow.
It's very full.
Well, we asked you, obviously, what do you think about this? What are some of your thoughts when it comes to Finding Nemo Submarine Voyage? Let's take a look at some of the comments you left here. Sarah says, I'll ride it if everybody just used the bathroom or got a new diaper. It isn't closer to meal or nap time, and the line is shorter than 30 minutes. So quite a few variables there before she'll ride it. Robin says, once is enough. too much body odor, and I don't want somebody's sweaty leg touching me. Todd says it's a no, just like Small World. And Jenna says, I like to go on every ride at least once, but I don't love the new submarines. I loved the old ride. And I continue to hear that over and over again from folks. In some other comments that we have here, Lisa says, makes me claustrophobic. Maria says it's boring unless I have one of my sons with me making hilarious commentaries. Michelle, claustrophobic, she says. And Josie Lynn says, can't handle being inside this ride as my anxiety attacks are severely triggered by the tight space inside the submarine. So a lot of claustrophobic comments there. Producer Kurt, when it comes to you and your wife and you guys in Tomorrowland, you do this?
No, it's a ditch it for us.
Yeah.
It's so much of a time commitment. I feel like I feel like I'm on that submarine forever. Like to the board and get out of there.
Yeah.
It just feels like, just let me off the damn thing already.
It is a very long ride.
Yeah,
Right.
it's just so much. I mean, to me, they would have to update it. Like if I had scuba divers, actual scuba divers in there or something,
That'd be
that would
really
be
cool as they
yeah,
wave.
yeah, wave by
They
me.
call you by name. They're
Yeah.
like, hey.
What
You know,
about
what'd be really
mermaids?
cool, though,
Yeah,
is
exactly.
if
They used to have
made
mermaids.
an omnimover, like, and then they put like a little tunnel, like, you know, because obviously there's water in there, so you can't just like go in.
Yeah.
But if they made it a tunnel and they made it an omnimover, so they still keep that beautiful body of water, and then you just go in underwater, and then you look at it, and then you just get shot out at the other end and just leave.
Is this
'Cause,
like
you
the
know,
one at Epcot?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah,
but
the-
then you still keep that body of water, and then you just kind of like you go in like a tube, and then so you are in the water. You look around, you're like, oh wow, cool. I think that they should keep it that way, and then get rid of the submarines, so you have like a nice like little seashell as you go through, kind of like a Little Mermaid kind of thing. But it's like a lot better because then you're with the person you actually want to be with, not with some weird person that has sweaty legs. And you're like, get away from me.
Yeah. Don't touch my leg.
Just a thought. I know it's gonna be expensive, but hey, it might work.
I will say, like, if you want to experience this part of, like, any part of this attraction and you are worried about your claustrophobia, they do have, because there's no way for wheelchairs to get in these things, so
Right.
they do have off to the side this little room that has air conditioning, and it's kind of set up with this kind of diving theme, and they'll play a video of the entire ride for you if
So you
you
can
if
get
you
an
want to
idea.
go and see it. So
And there's light effects too to kind of help with it to get that ambiance.
yeah, I mean the TV has seen better days. It needs to be a little brighter possibly, but but
hey.
it's still if you're in a wheelchair and you really want to see this, or if you are claustrophobic and you really want to see this, those are two ways to experience it. And I don't believe you really have to wait in line to see that either.
No, I think you just like go off.
I think
to
you
the
just
side.
go talk to a cast member and they'll bring you over there. So.
That's a great tip.
Yeah.
Very helpful for anybody that can't make the flight upstairs, the spiral staircase to get down into the submarine itself. It is rather physical, the expectations of
Oh, yeah.
getting into this thing. I think that it might also play into why this attraction might not be around so much longer, because not everyone can do it the same way, and I think it might be a little bit difficult
That's
for
why they
those
should do the
folks.
seashells.
Yeah.
Little omnimover.
It's a great idea.
Hey, why not?
Very expensive, but it's a great idea. Yeah. I think overall that the submarines are a part of sort of Disneyland nostalgia to the nth degree. It's something that everybody looks back fondly on. I know I remember hearing the stories of like John Lasseter and the Imagineers that were working on bringing this
Can't say
back.
his name.
I know, yeah. He who shall not be referred to.
Ooh.
Those folks in Imagineering that sort of fired up the old subs and brought them out for the first time in a number of years just to test and see if everything was still on track. When they did that many years back, right before they relaunched it as Nemo, it had crowds of people around the whole
Sure.
lagoon just cheering. People were so excited to see this come back. And I almost feel like this is one of those attractions that we remember it fondly, and a lot of folks remember it more fondly than they actually like doing it.
Yeah, they just like, oh, that's a great idea, but I'm not gonna go on it.
Yeah.
I like to look at it
Right.
from afar, like the little yellow submarines, like driving around and stuff. But it's just so tight,
Yeah.
like, and they can't get rid of the seats because then less people get in. So
And
obviously,
you're not a large person either. You're
No.
you're a pretty petite person. So
you.
for you to say that, I mean that
I just
speaks
feel
volumes.
it's very tight. Even going down the stairs, I'm just kind of like, oh geez. And then you don't want to wear a dress
Mm-hmm.
because you have to get up and get out, and you're kind of like, as you like exit, and then
No, there's
it's-
something I never thought about.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just not one of those friendly rides. And then so I just like to see it from afar. I wish I can't write it.
The cast member looks really like uncomfortable
They're funny,
while
too,
they're,
and you're,
they're
like,
doing
like,
that.
They can't really
around,
move.
they're like,
Yeah, they're like looks like they're
their heads in a
squatted
bubble.
down. Yeah.
As they're
Yeah,
driving.
you only see him from the waist down when you're in the attraction, and that's a little odd. I remember going in there the first time and hearing people around me thinking that it wasn't a real person. That
Oh, really?
It was a
That's
prop
funny.
person.
I want to see somebody poke them.
I
Oh
think
my
it
gosh.
happens more often than you might believe.
They're like, sir,
Wow.
please stop.
Yeah, yeah. Please don't grab me.
Like in Ghostbusters when Egon pokes. Anyway.
No, careful there. Well, at any rate, so I want to hammer it down here. So it's do it's for you, ditch it's for you. What is
Oh
it?
man.
Ditch. Unless it's like the like handicap room, then I would probably say do it.
But the ride itself.
But the ride itself, it's a ditch it.
Okay.
I'm gonna say ditch it because I think it's more about the time suck for me than anything, because I think there's just more to do at Disneyland with your time than spending 30 minutes waiting in line and then another 20 minutes on the ride for that.
Certainly.
So yeah, I think I would say ditch it.
And
I know it's really hard to say it because you should write it at least once just
I
so
still-
you
I
get
think
it.
I do think it's a phenomenal ride. I really do actually think that it's really well done. It's very smart, and what they did, even after the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea stuff left, they built that. They increased the size of that show building. They built it out by like 20% or something like that. So it's a very long ride. But
And theming, story, you're absolutely right. I think it hits all the right marks. It might just be the device itself, that makes it so uncomfortable and not worth it to the majority of us. Well, it sounds like all of us at this point, because I am also a ditch it, especially after riding it again this past week. I did that on purpose just because I was like, I don't remember last time I got on this thing. It's been years. And the demand has certainly not been there, unless, of course, as Katrina had mentioned, it's a busy time in the parks and people are just looking for something to go ride. I jumped on board and I thought, maybe it's not as bad as I remember it. Yeah, no, it's horribly uncomfortable. I was sitting next to a woman of size who also seemed very uncomfortable, and I was in the corner. I was in the very last spot, right next to the staircase. So at least I had a little bit of room to sort of lean into
Scooch,
that,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
not be in somebody else's business, I guess. But at any rate, it just felt like even the projections and stuff like that I'm watching out the porthole were kind of faded.
getting
Oh,
older.
ooh.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've been on it. It's entirely possible. Those, that's the hardest part about. I think a lot of theme parks think like, oh well, we'll just make it a projection ride. We'll make it a whatever. Maybe mostly I'm pointing at Universal Studios, but they don't realize that like that sort of stuff takes upkeep too, and
Right.
and a lot of times they'll let these screens kind of deteriorate, and it's unfortunate. But I love the ride, but I'm gonna have to ditch it.
Well, it sounds like ditch it's all around, and an overwhelming amount of you also said ditch it. So the ditch it's habit for Finding Nemo Submarine Voyage at Disneyland in Tomorrowland.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.